You know how I know that this is going to be an all-time episode, most likely? I don't know whether to go into depth about everything that's going on or just laugh for 45 minutes in a hysterical fashion. What in the fuck is going on with this team right now, dude?
Damn, F-bomb. Jeez, dial it back,
Is it
buddy.
not a
This is a
if not
PG
now, then
program.
when? If not now,
Yeah,
then when?
that is true. That is true. That's how I was at the Avalanche game. And like JP could attest, I was just laughing.
You
JP had his
guys
hands in his
You
face
guys
and
had to go see that in person. That is so hilarious. Oh my
Yep.
God.
My dad wanted a shout out for letting you have the tickets to the game, but I don't think it deserves one now. He said that to me before the game. He said I deserve a shout out. I said, no, not anymore.
hey, I will always take a free ticket, but the most embarrassing loss possibly at home in franchise history is that's a hell of a game to go to.
Hey, we were there. We will be telling our kids about that game.
You heard people calling it like the worst loss in franchise history, and at first I was like, I wouldn't like. Come on, there's been worse losses, but then it's like, well, no, they haven't done that. Blow a 4-0 lead in regulation at home ever. So like, you can't really. It's technically true. It's never been done.
Maybe it was comeuppance because remember when we did that to the Blackhawks like 2 years ago, and then it gets done to us. So who's next? That's the real question. Who's next?
I cannot believe that's not even like the leading. It's not even the leading storyline anymore.
Not after today.
People were asking if we were going to record that night because a lot of other people took to it themselves to record because it's like what what do you like, something needs to be said after that, and I'm just sitting there like, guys, I don't think JP and Christian are going to be in any shape or form to do anything. I was surprised you guys made it out of the arena.
Dude, I was just in shock. And then leaving my parking spot, I made a right and then I got stuck in traffic and then made another right and then a wrong turn and then I had to go all the way down. It was just the perfect cherry on top, just getting stuck in traffic going the opposite direction, having to turn around to go back north. So if that doesn't spell dysfunction, I don't know what does.
I just don't even, I don't know what there's left to say that hasn't been said 1,000 times. Like, even for this episode, like I'm sure you guys are fired up. I have like no thoughts. It's like, well, what even is there to say? It's just a failure. Like, people are gonna, I've been so positive. They're gonna, shit on me and say, you're wrong. Stop defending Adams. Like, yeah, you're all right. Like, this all sucks. Like, I
We
am the
got him.
most optimistic person
Finally,
on
he's
this
We got
cracked.
podcast
we got him.
and I'm losing my hope and it sucks. It really sucks. Like I don't want to record right now. I don't because I don't want to be talking about this shitty team right now. It's so frustrating.
Welcome to
And
the
even
dark
last
side,
last
JP.
night, last night I was happy. Like they played a good game, but then the presser today, it's just like I don't know. It's
Did anyone really expect anything more than the shit sandwich we got? Like
no, but
seriously?
the thing is, okay, I don't think this is up for debate. What Kevin Adams has said to the media, he's been straightforward these past few years. He's been pretty honest. Okay. It's just the
Honest.
way he said it today. It's the way he said it. I mean,
Oh, it was terrible. Dude, it was Eichel
just,
level body language on that podium. I hope
yeah,
for anybody that listened to it, I implore you, go and watch the YouTube version of it. He looked he looked completely dead inside. He wanted to be nowhere near that microphone. And he's like swaying back and forth. He's scratching his head. He's making. I remember when I think Lance asked him about the cap space. He kind of like smirked, like really like begrudgingly. It's like he just. It's just all tone and like. Do you like the joke was made? I made the joke that this feels like a press conference ripped right out of last year, but like, dude, I remember the press conference after Granado got fired, and you could just tell like the guy was pissed off like pissed off in a way where like he wanted to change stuff. Did that seem like any sort of urgency? Anything coming out of that?
Just more of the same. I we all made jokes about it
Every
before
single
it
person made
started.
a joke.
Before it started, they were making jokes about the cliches, and then they were all
Drinking
set.
games, bingo boards, parlays about what he was going to say, and he nailed every single point of it. I think he started the press conference with nobody's more angry than I am right now. It's like, oh my God, what are we doing here?
Yeah, but what else do you want him to say? Like, what else even is there for
Well,
him
it's
to
just
say?
tone. I mean, I was just
I
more so
agree with
joking.
tone. I agree, but it's like
Tone,
I
body
I joked to
language.
I joked to Jonah last night. I was like, what if he just came on here and went full blown fire sale, like just completely like said, oh yeah, there is a we don't have full spending capabilities, and he just goes off on the organization. But other than that, like, what did people think he would say? That's the only thing that I got of it. But some of the stuff he said, like the palm tree shit, like it's just
He can okay.
another
How
thing
about
to
this?
add to the
He
drought
can learn.
iceberg.
He can learn to take the word learning out of his vocabulary
I
because he
I
once
agree with
again he
that.
went right back to it. He's called
Yeah.
what like the Kulik 2-on-1 he brought up specifically as like we're learning or like we're 26 games in. There's ups and downs. It's like dude, just say it's not good enough.
It's far and away not good enough, and that's honestly why I was so dejected after the Colorado game. I wasn't really like angry or anything. It's just like that game solidified the fact that this team doesn't have the high-end talent it needs to make it through this. And we've seen the same thing over maybe like 100 game sample size at this point, from going back from last season to the first quarter of this season. There's no consistency with winning, or they're just their play style. There's no consistency ever. Last night against Winnipeg, I will say they looked better. They looked a lot more calm. They looked much more poised. I think one of the things Lindy was trying to hammer home was you need to slow the motor down a little bit. You need to, just fill in some spaces. If you go 100 miles an hour all the time, you're going to throw yourself out of position. You're going to make more mistakes. All right. But again, they lost. Who cares? Like, who cares? They lost again. It's like
I,
the
I
time for learning's over.
I think the worst part about the Avalanche game is every single fan saw it coming. After they scored the first goal, it's like,
Hmm.
oh my God, like they might blow this game. They might actually blow this game. And then once they scored the second goal, I was like, yeah, we are definitely blowing this game. It's either going to come down to the last minute or we're just going to lose this outright in regulation. And we did. And we absolutely did. Like, that's the worst part, that we're so used to this that we expect it. Like, it didn't even surprise me. Even though I was still pissed off and upset, it did not surprise me.
That didn't surprise me either. I mean, you go up 4-0 that quick, and then they score a goal, and you're like, there's a lot of time left on
I
that clock.
actually I've been to a lot of games recently. Okay. I don't think I've ever felt so high about the team after one period and then so low after two other periods. I don't
I
think there's been another game like that.
I turned and looked at JP after like the third was winding down. I was like, remember after the first period? Remember how good we felt? Like everything was
Hmm.
going great. We were a 4 goal lead, and then we just watched it slowly die.
They got a standing ovation and
Yeah.
a crowd of boos in a matter of 2 hours.
If that doesn't spell what the last season and a quarter has been, that is the perfect, that's the perfect right there. That's
But
what it
that's
was.
exactly it. Like we're back to status. Like nothing changed. Nothing from the worst game in franchise history to today, or even the game after. Like all they did, literally, all they did was cancel media availability for everybody.
And then the media got it back today.
I mean, they got it back, sure, but I just don't like for any other organization. That's a turning point. That's something. I go back to oh man, I forget when he said it, but it was one of Steve Dangle's like most famous like rant videos, and like he used the phrase, "Somebody that is here today should not be here tomorrow." And I mean, I guess technically that happened because the entire team no showed practice and media availability, but like nothing changed. how do you continue to go about your day, go about your business, and like not react at all? Nothing, literally nothing was changed.
I think, I mean, even if it's not firing someone, I think the purpose of a trade out of desperation, I think Adams is smart enough to know he'll probably get taken advantage of. But then again, then if you don't do that, you're doing nothing. And is that worse? Is it worse?
I mean,
That's up to
it's like
interpretation.
as opposed to what he's going to be taken advantage of. Like, what is a trade gonna? I mean, we're at the point. Like, dude, when is a trade gonna waltz onto his lap and be like, oh, that's even, and that's really gonna help my team? No, it's why we get stuck with Eric Robinson deals. And he said at one point in the press conference today, because like I give credit to Mike Harrington, Lance Lysowski, all of them. They were starting to like really push him. And at one point, he goes, "Yeah, there was one trade during the summer you guys would have roasted me for." First of all, like, where did you learn that terminology? Second of all, it's
Yeah, he's got kids.
what do you mean? It's we're gonna roast you, dude. We said this during the summer. If a trade is so bad and you end up losing your job because of it, guess what? It's not your problem anymore. It's not.
It's the Brandon Bean mantra. He says if it doesn't work out, if I make a big swing and it doesn't work out, hey, I'm not going to be here. Who cares?
And he brought up the extension thing again about the cap space. Like I know, like I'm not expecting to get like, hey, I'm gonna go out and do this, but like the same answers for the same questions. I don't know. It's extremely like that press conference gave I'm going to be fired tomorrow vibes for a GM that's not going to get fired tomorrow.
He's not getting fired, period. I don't think the way this is going, even if they want to make a GM change, I don't think he gets fired.
It,
Do you really believe he's going to get fired?
How do you double down on the quote when you're asked about cap space? Like I was going to bring this up on here because he said it during the summer how he doesn't think about cap space when he's building a team. I couldn't believe he said it again. I can't believe it. I genuinely cannot believe that. When you acknowledge that this isn't a destination, you don't think about the cap space. What? And somebody rightfully brings up that like Jason Zucker, you just did that. You're telling me there wasn't another 1 year deal out there somewhere? You couldn't have offered somebody like all $8 million of your cap space for 1 year?
Yeah, something crazy like a Taylor Hall contract from 2020.
Exactly. Like he
That
did
would have
that.
worked. He did that. He did that 4 years ago. He was the GM when he did that.
and it burned him, and it burned Terry Pegula. I'm just saying
And
why it might not have happened again.
and yeah, and perfect correlation into maybe someone else is in his ear saying you can't do that again.
I just he has been through a lot with this organization. He's been through a lot of lows. I think that was
Mostly
the first.
lows.
Well, okay, yeah, but I think that was the first time you could really tell that I don't know if he's dejected or he's like losing hope of him like of himself. Like it sounded like he was running out of answers. It sounds like he is like Jonah said. It sounds like he's a GM who's going to be fired soon. Like it's the first time where I think he was visibly frustrated with the media when usually he says all the right things. Even if you don't want to hear it, he says all the right PR things. Okay. Today he didn't. Today he was very frustrated. He was combative. I mean, to be fair,
That Craig
he
Anderson comment was it was
yeah.
ridiculous.
hmm
That was
Yeah.
absolutely ridiculous how he said that the team age would raise a year if you put Craig Anderson back. He hasn't played in 2 years. Look, why are you bringing him up?
Yep.
This isn't like
Yep.
he just retired. This was 2 years ago. 2 years ago.
And James Reimer's like 37 or 38, isn't he?
Exactly. Like
Yeah, there you go.
you still
There's
have
your
the old goaltender on the team.
and the team age is still by far the youngest in the league.
I don't, man, like I have for so long have been like closer to JP's side of like defending this guy, but I can't just like some of the things he said, like of course it was a nothing burger. It was always gonna be a nothing burger, but it
hmm
felt worse than a nothing burger. A nothing burger would have been like, I don't know, like I'm just continuing to look at my options. I feel like a normal GM would have said like I'm continuing to look at my options or I'm continuing to look at to add for this team instead of like he said like anything's on the table. I don't know, man. I know he's just a front. It's all a front. It's all a
Uh,
front. He's the front man for a dollar a Dollar Tree organization. Christian and I were I was joking with Christian before this episode about like what I'm gonna name this, and it's gonna be palm tree related because it's going to be, and it's like one of them I said was like, do I call it like dollar palm tree or something like that? I don't know. Just it's a cheap, poorly run organization at the end of the day. It's just it is what it is. It is like Lance is on Twitter talking about bringing up once again how the owner's hiding that for the 1000th time they've asked to meet with him and ask him questions, nowhere to be found. So he sends out Kevin, sends out the guys sending him money.
He's in the Bills locker room.
Yeah,
That's where he is.
He's brandishing off his new game ball.
Yeah, like give me a break. That after leaving after seeing the Avalanche game, honestly, like I sent you guys a voice memo. Obviously, it was a rant. That is the one thing that really, really got under my skin is that he's parading himself around in his other organization's locker room, talking about winning division titles, while this organization that you also happen to own, that you owned first, is drowning.
and supposedly it was like his
sinking.
childhood team.
Yeah, his childhood, the team he used to, where'd he go? He went to Penn State, right? The team he used to take his radio and he went up on like some hill in Happy Valley and try and get to, or this is in Pittsburgh or something. He was telling, I remember this story he was telling at an alumni event or something. He used to try and get radio coverage of WGR, whatever the station was back in the day, to listen to the Sabres games. The team he loved since he was a kid. It doesn't seem like he cares at all. Going back to when he first bought the team, I watched that video today.
Nobody wants them to succeed more than him.
Yeah, the
Not
guy
a
who
single
said
person.
the guy who said at his introductory press conference, the financial mandates are gone.
I give like I said, I give the reporters a lot of credit for their questions today. Like Harrington really went at him. But I just wish that when he said nobody's in it more than Terry, I wish somebody said, then where is he?
Yeah.
Like, why isn't he
too.
here? Because we've asked to see him. Just once. But it doesn't, like, they'd get their press revoked or something. I don't know. It's
a hostile organization.
After listening to this press conference, it just made me think like, what if like all of this really is out of Kevin's control? And like Jonah said, he's just a front man. Like if he's just a front man and he's getting confronted with all the problems of this organization that might not be his problem, I can understand why he's getting frustrated. Like even if some of it is because he hasn't built a good team, like people don't want to come here because of no move clauses. Like, yeah, I'm sure that is really frustrating as a GM. And I'm sure the taxes in New York is a problem. Okay. I know that the quote is going around because he said palm trees. What he said is a factual statement. It is a problem.
I'm in North Tonawanda right now. There are palm trees.
But you want to know the funniest thing about that quote? It's that it's exactly correct. But we're to the point where being exactly right, like it doesn't. I mean, it's an excuse because even though it's true, there's state taxes. It's true, there's no palm trees around here, but like it's as if that makes that there's no way around it. Like at a certain point, I will lose my patience because somebody at some point has to say no to Terry Pegula. Somebody has to say no for once. And it's like, I get it. Adams is trying to save his job by saving him money. But do you think, like respectfully, would Brandon Beane allow this type of shit to happen? Absolutely
He never
not.
has.
He
literally never has.
From the beginning.
And you'd think Terry would look at that and be like, man, what if I just let Kevin, like, maybe I took the training wheels off and let Kevin do that and, had more of an
he does.
open
He's not
dialogue.
involved with hockey.
But we don't know. We're
decisions.
speculating.
He's not involved with any of that, but he is involved in basis of an organization. The money. It's like it's the economy, stupid. It's the cap, stupid. It always has been.
Here, I think you have to look at it like this, okay? You got to look at it on a return on investment, okay? Had no financial constraints on the Sabres when he was here to start. Where did I get him? I got him absolutely nowhere because the team got even worse because we were tanking. Okay. If you look at the Bills, I'm starting to get sick of the comparisons between the two teams. I'm going to be honest because they're in completely different situations now, and the NFL makes like 1,000 times more money than them. But he's never had financial constraints on the Bills, and he's had a return on investment. We're like one of the best teams in the league. He did the same thing for the Sabres, and we were one of the worst teams in the league, and it got him nowhere.
Okay, then sell the team. Then get rid of it. Sell it to someone who's going to pump money into this team.
I no,
If he's that
If he got
frustrated,
such a big return on investment with the Bills, then like why did he sell 25% of the franchise?
He could sell the Sabres right now for almost 10x of what he
got
bought
nearly,
them.
and he got nearly $1 billion from state taxpayers on the new stadium. Like
Yeah,
he didn't even pay that
$850
much.
million
No,
from
I'm
Kathy
not
Hochul.
defending him. I'm just saying from his point of view, this is definitely how he thinks about it.
Oh no, I 100% agree with you.
100%.
But he needs, if he's not going to pump money into this team, he needs to let it go. Seriously, just F off, dude. Seriously, we're done.
And it's such a small amount too. It's like he absolutely 100% he pools the money differently. Because guess what? The nucleus that held those two organizations together, Pagula Sports Entertainment, doesn't exist anymore. Because in 2020 he fired half the organization in one day, and now it's completely gone. So he definitely treats these two franchises differently.
That's why I've been such a proponent of I don't think there is a cap limit because he spends so much money on the Bills. Like Von Miller this year, okay? He's gonna get probably released after this year. We still owe him a ton of money. We owe Stephon Diggs like $30 million this year, and he's not even playing for us. Okay. $30 million for Stephon Diggs. That's almost half the cap that we spend on the Sabres. That's
The
why
cap
I've
is a
been
little
such a
different in the NFL than the NHL.
yeah, but it's still they're still spending the same money. Like that's why I've been such a proponent of it. But I just don't understand why he doesn't spend the money because he has the money. That's why I just think he just thinks it's not worth the investment anymore. Until we start winning, he's not going to spend. And I don't think if we don't spend, we're not going to win.
Yeah, though it's a conundrum. Like Terry, I don't understand. I don't think Terry understands that you need to spend in order to win.
No, I think he does understand that. He just won't do it anymore.
Then sell the team. Why is he still here? Why does he still have this team if he's not gonna invest in it? Because hey, buddy, your ROI is gonna go down even more. So why don't you just sell now before the team's value starts to drop?
But it's not. That's the thing. It will never. The NHL franchises are at an all-time high. Like, what did he buy the team for? Didn't we talk? Wasn't it like
189 million.
189 million? The dirt cheapest NHL franchise right now is probably
It's Columbus
Columbus, and it's
or
still,
Winnipeg.
Isn't it still over $1 billion? Like the franchise has just got valued. The Sabres at like $1.1 billion. It still makes him money no matter what. Like to an extent, he doesn't get the playoff revenue. He doesn't get the flashy stuff. Maybe there's a correlation there. I don't know. You tell me. It.
It's weird because it's like the more you think, is it like I feel like all of this is speculation too, but we're being
Is it
proven
though?
right.
Like I feel like
Yeah,
it's
we're
laid
being
all out
proven
there.
right
Like,
by action, but it still seems at the end of the day, it's like, is this just terrible mismanagement by Kevin Adams? Is it just actually him?
Well, if it was, it still goes back to the top because he's still employed.
Yeah. Yep. That is true.
I mean, it's like Lance was saying. It's like they have one of the smallest scouting staffs. They're one of the smallest. Like their scouting staff is small. The arena is one of the lowest graded arenas in all of sports, or at least all the NHL. They haven't spent to the cap in 5 years. They've been the lowest, I think, in terms of actual money given to players, not like trading for Ben Bishops, whose money has already been paid. They've spent the least amount of money in the last 5 or so years. I mean, like, what's there to hide? Like, what? How can you possibly defend the fact that It's just not an organization that is given their complete financial, like the chains are off in any sort of fashion. Like the Jeff Skinner thing is the most obvious, blatant, money saving thing I have ever seen in my life. The most amount of money was saved this year, conceivably to make the team better, and they didn't dip into it whatsoever. I think they dipped like $1 or $2 million into it.
It's in the jumbotron and the
It's
roof.
in a new jumbotron and a new roof that they tried to parade around all summer. Like
This is how
seriously,
we win.
this is how we win.
No, it is not.
It's incredible, dude. It is
Looking back on it,
incredible.
dude, that title for that whatever it is, Sabres Embedded. Oh my God, that is the worst title of all. This is how. Are you serious?
And it's just it's what he has to do, like poor Kevin Adams, poor Pete Gwelly, man, just having to try and keep the franchise afloat in the public's eye. Somehow make it seem legitimate.
Defending Kevin Adams just a bit here. He probably has the hardest GM job in the entire league by a mile. Just because, state taxes and palm trees. So no movement clauses and a franchise obviously under financial restrictions. He does not have a lot to work with, but at the end of the day, you're the GM. You got to make it happen.
And I think you have to give Kevin credit. He's never backed away from the media. Like I think even Lance said that
Oh,
on
he
Twitter
he
today.
reminded us today. His opening
That
statements,
that that is true.
just
He
patting himself
always
on the back.
he always faces the pressure. I just don't understand why other people can't join him. Like if there's such a big like that once again this is about Terry. There's such a big low point of this franchise, and you know that your GM is about to get absolutely roasted. Why don't you go up there and sit there with him? Like I
Coward.
don't get it.
He's a coward. Hey, there's no excuse to he's somewhere doing something because we just saw him in the Bills locker room a few days ago. He is around. So it's like, that's just, that's being a coward.
And for Adams, like as much sympathy as you can give him, like if you don't want to do or you can't do the job, dude, like you step aside, let
Please
somebody else do
resign.
it.
Yeah.
Take your friggin' promotion upstairs. Let Carmanos take control. I feel like the dynamic shifts. It's something. The dynamic shifts immediately from a first-time GM to someone who's been in the NHL for the past 15 years. It's at a certain point, like let somebody else take their shot. I don't know, man.
And you'd think maybe with that, maybe Carmanos could, maybe make some more maneuvers because you got Kevin Adams maybe shielding him and he could still, he could be the shield to what Terry is.
Just be the full-time buffer.
Yeah, be the
Just like,
buffer.
your
Be the
job is
full-time
to
buffer.
friggin' bridge the two somehow.
Yeah. I
I
can't
don't
believe
know.
we're having that conversation. Isn't that crazy? The team is still 500. We're not out of it, but it feels like we're so far out of it.
You know what the cherry on top was about that Avalanche game? Jonas said it earlier, but you guys just kept going. That you said nothing changed. Something did change. Our best player got hurt, and he's probably going to be out for weeks. So
That's the other thing. They've lost 5 straight. Their franchise players hurt. And zero, or like, what was the quote? It was, "I'm not gonna make a desperate trade." It's like, dude, your friend, like Jacob Bryson was on the top pair the other night with Bowen
He's a,
Byram.
he's
I
a
mean,
king.
like, are you gonna ice a defense core with Bryson, Yoki Haru, Clifton, and Gilbert as your nightly players? I mean, I guess Samuelson's coming back, but how long is that gonna be? How long is he gonna be in the lineup for? You're gonna play him more? Expose him to more?
But do we really know the extent of his injury with back spasms? Like they say they
Well,
hope it's
they
day to
just well they
day.
said I mean you're the head coach saying but you never know. Usually that's not a good sign.
Yeah, that's
you know,
usually
we know the Sabres track record. It goes from day to day for weeks, and then it's oh yeah, he's probably going to be out for longer. That's
They've
kind of
been
how Greenway was.
they've
He
been
was
better.
never expected to
Yeah,
be
it's
out that
true.
long, and now he's been out for what 3 or 4 weeks.
That is true.
Lafferty's week to week. We could probably expect him to be done for the year at this point.
He might not be in Buffalo. We don't know.
They've definitely been better with it in recent years, but yeah, it's still the Greenway is probably a good example. I mean, Lindy Ruff literally said they thought it was going to be a day-to-day thing, and it's turned into. I mean, gee, like this lineup fell apart without him.
The decor, I mean, that's probably a reason they lost that game. As soon as he left the game, they were getting
Oh yeah, they
cooked
were
in the
done. Like,
defensive zone.
are you gonna? Yeah, you send Power and I think Byram and Power was sent out there together as the top pair. It's like, what's your second pair against like McKinnon and McCarr? It's I don't even remember from that. I don't even remember that third period was such a friggin'
Yeah,
blur.
it does not matter.
And I think that point that Christian made, where like it doesn't like they're not out, they're not even close to out, but it just feels like they are. Like, does this feel like a team that can just like push through?
No,
I
it's the
mean,
same as last year.
I'll give them credit. Like the last two games, like offensively, it looks like they're starting to sort of figure things out. But I don't know, man. Like Adams saying something that along the lines of like their expected goals percentage and expected goals for and against. It's like it's right around play. It's like around what Dallas and New Jersey. Like no, it's not. The public models don't say so. Sports logic that doesn't say so. Our understanding from like what we've heard, like other models have doesn't they don't have that either. What like are the Sabres juicing their own models or something like to put themselves up there with these top teams?
I kind of respect
I'm
it.
I,
There's no way. There's
no, I mean
absolutely no
the
way.
expected goals against maybe, but goals for no freaking
Mm-mm.
way. We're
And
like
here,
bottom of the
yeah.
league.
And here's the other thing. Like if it is, then that means the offense we're seeing the last two games isn't like it's not going to stick around because they think what they've been doing previously is working when it obviously hasn't. Like they're just stuck, man. That's the worst part. They are stuck. No help is coming. Maybe they'll get a deadline trade. I don't know. Maybe they'll make one move here. It doesn't matter. They're more than one trade away, and we've seen how long it's taken for one trade to make. They're stuck. And unless the guys on the team figure it out, unless the coaching staff that the head coach didn't put together figures it out, unless the power play figures it out, and unless they suddenly get healthy, which that seems like an uphill battle, they're stuck. They're going to go 14 years without the playoffs, and we'll be hoping and praying that maybe the guy that clearly has to be proven that something is worth pumping money into will be like, okay, fine, maybe I'll let you guys spend a little bit more now. Unless something changes, that's what they're set up for. How long until the NHL steps in here? I'm not kidding. How long? They did it with Arizona. They did it back in 2003 when this team was on the verge of bankruptcy. I mean, how long? Or how long until the next hire for like a management position for like a president of hockey ops is from the Buffalo Bills?
Yeah, I saw that he daddy tweet about him saying that the league should step in and try and take ownership of what the Sabres are doing. I mean, it's got to be close. I mean, Gary Bettman obviously isn't oblivious to what's going on here. I mean, hey, he's seen a little bit of a pattern of failure. You gotta that'd be the most humbling thing in the world that you need the NHL to step in and be like, I don't know what you guys are doing over here, but you guys have not been running this thing right. But Kevin Adams might die by his own words. He said at the Blue and Gold Insights over the summer, he says, when you're caught in the middle, you drown. Guess what? They're caught in the middle and they are drowning.
But it's only 26 games in. They're going to have their ups and
Oh
downs.
yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Hit me with more of the cliches, all right? I'm just gonna sit here in North Tonawanda looking at my palm trees.
I actually do love the fact that I like it's seriously like people have sort of rallied around it even just in the last day. If it becomes like a serious some sort of rallying cry, I think it's something. It's
I
something to like get it like it's kind of hard to internal cap like it just doesn't really have that sort of flair to it. This
I
is more
fully
fun.
expect I fully expect to see someone in a palm tree costume at the game on Saturday. It's gonna happen.
No more paper bags, just inflatable palm trees. It It's just an unbelievably awful place to be in where the team's mediocre. They're too good to be bad. Like Tage Thompson, Rasmus Dahlin when he's healthy, Luukkonen, their foundation is too good for them to sink. So they're stuck here. Stuck at 500, stuck at hoping things will change. And they're stuck most of all because, as the general manager put it, I don't think I've seen this ever said, going to the podium and saying that this is not a destination right now. It's not a place that players want to be. He's never said that. He's never
right.
said that. He's right,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, no shit.
it's the phrasing of somebody who knows they're in over their head, or that they don't have a solution because they can't spend the extra. You can't convince them to come here via trade, and teams are asking for way too much via trade. So okay, let's go the free agency route. Well, I can't spend money, so I have no other option to get here. So your inevitable solution is to just rely on internal growth, and your internal growth has been non-existent. Your second line center hasn't been one. Your second line right winger heading into the season was scratched for a fourth line rookie. It's not going good. By the way, come on, like poor Tyson Kozak, man. He played so good the other night, and
It's a crime.
to have that goal taken away in that fashion,
Look,
awful.
he's a good player. I'm sure he'll get more NHL games. But imagine he never scores like again, and it's just like that's what you'll remember from your NHL experience. His family surprises him there. They're going nuts, and then the NHL calls it back on. Maybe it was the definition of goaltender interference, but it was so ticky tack. Like
It was like the first goal
UPL's
Winnipeg scored.
UPL's was basically the same thing, but it was like 4 inches more in the crease, or four inches more out of the crease. Like it was basically the same play. It's just, well, what can you expect? What can you expect? I don't
They
know.
gotta
It's
they
the
gotta figure it
Sabres.
out, man.
They're,
The NHL.
yeah, I'm getting sick of that. But I saw someone say it. How many teams in the NHL would have a legit number one defenseman, a legit number one center, and a legit number one goaltender, and they can't even sniff the playoffs? It's crazy.
Right here.
I have
Well, you have one.
I have a suggestion.
Sir, I have an
Yeah.
idea.
Oh my god. How the fuck are we here again, dude? How? We had this talk last year. We had this same, and that was the other thing too. And we were talking about it, how, like, I was really mad that there was going to be another game played before he met with the media, and even just so long after or so in such a short time after the Colorado game, and they end up playing well in it. It's like this is exactly how Don Granato kept his job last year. Kevin Adams even admitted it. They never went on a prolonged losing streak to justify firing him. But it's like you had so many. You lose 9-4 to the Columbus goddamn Blue Jackets at home. But because you have the good fortune of playing Ilya Samsonov and Martin Jones at home the next game 2 days later, you keep the coach. And it's exactly why I just knew that they were probably going to come out flying against Winnipeg, and I figured they were actually going to win. I'm actually very surprised they didn't, but
Got a loser point.
it's just it made people like a lot like in 3 days since Tuesday night's debacle. Like the rhetoric's already calmed down. People aren't angry. Like, you learn to live with it because that's what you do with this team. You learn to live with whatever they throw at you.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how bad it's gotten, you learned to live with it. Side note, isn't it so goddamn hilarious that we've come full circle? They messed up a jersey again.
Oh my
Again,
God, yeah.
dude. Are you kidding me?
And of course
Tyson Kozak's too?
it was the guy, yeah, it was the guy making his debut.
He's going to be hanging that in his basement for the rest of his life. And he's just going to be like, yep, that's the Sabres. That's my Sabres that I played for.
We've gone full circle. We've gone full circle to the Okoposo jersey, to
Oh,
the
go Posa.
who was it, Robitaille, Dave Andrechuk. Like, what the hell,
Or
man?
the Danny Gare
The Danny
knockoff
Garrett at a
at
turkey
the Turkey
drive.
Drive.
Oh my God, dude! Time is a flat circle.
With this ownership group, yes, it is.
So, where do they go from here? Where do they go from here?
They play on Saturday and onward.
You know,
That's it.
they at least had like the middle stat contract situation coming up last year. It's like there was like a flashy, oh, like maybe they end up trading this guy. Like you got nothing.
Yeah,
Like like
Yoki.
like what do you like the only one is like what Bowen Are you gonna trade Bowen Byram now?
No,
Absolutely not.
no.
In no scenario are you doing that.
It's really funny how like the trades he has made, they've all been great as of recent. They've all
Yeah,
been very good,
you should
and
do more
yet
of them.
you can't figure out a way to do more of them.
That's probably what it is. He knows that these trades have been good value, so he's made them, but he doesn't want to get burned, so he doesn't make the other ones. So, like you guys said, all of his trades have been good. So I'm sure if he made more trades, there'd be some bad ones. He doesn't want to get burned. Whether that's because he doesn't want to
Yeah.
get burned himself personally, like he said, he doesn't want to get roasted by the media today,
Look, we've
or if it's because he doesn't want to put this organization in a bad spot.
Has any baseball player ever batted 1,000? No.
look the Sabres. It's been so long now that we've gone full circle, and we've began to like rewrite the history about like Tim Murray, who threw everything out the window to speed up the rebuilds. And even by the end of it was inactive as hell. He didn't make a single NHL trade during the 2016-17 season. We've gone full circle where people are praising him for trying to make the team win now. You know, like that's the thing. We've gone so desperate for bad bad behavior.
Hmm.
Like you don't want like any other GM would want their GM to kind of be like Adams in the sense that he is patient, that he doesn't do panicky stuff. But you've literally screwed up the franchise so much that people are like willing to just see it done,
See anything.
to see it go all out the window. We've gone from, you know, like he's still trying to pump out the sustained success thing. And it's like you never like where's the present success? You know? Like that's just what people you've totally radicalized people's thinking about that. That now it's swung so far in the other direction that it's like you've lost any nuance to the conversation. Like it's there's no more nuance. You literally cannot talk about the Sabres future anymore. You will be laughed at, you will be shamed. It's that bad. Even though it's a totally valid conversation to have for 31 other franchises. It's insane. And it's all we can do is just vent. That's literally it. Because there's really no solutions to it. What you see is what you get. And if I don't even know, there's nothing left to be said. I think it was
But
JD asked me in the Q&A last episode. It's like how do you even sell optimism? You can't. You really can't. Nobody's
Not
buying it.
anymore, you can't.
It's done. There's no more left to be found.
the reality is, this is the team that we're gonna have the rest of the season, and this team and Lindy Ruff are gonna have to somehow find a way to break the drought.
What
That's
you're
the reality of the situation. They have, and if they do that, then more players want to come here because, we'll make the playoffs. But no one's going to want to come here next year, especially after some more comments, some stupid comments that were made.
Yeah,
What
the
what do you think agents are like talking about or going to say to Kevin Adams? Like uh, they could just take these comments and throw them right at his face.
what you're seeing like nowadays, like look at what's going on with Brady Kachuk. Out of nowhere, his name just came up in like trade talks today, and we're quickly shot down. But guess what? that's on the horizon for some of the Sabres players. Owen Power's name was brought up recently in a leak. It's going to happen with Dahlin and Tage in the offseason if they miss again. It's going to happen. Guarantee it's going to happen.
It's the beginning of the Eichel
It's
conversations.
the preliminary. Some teams started calling about Eichel, even though some teams was literally just one. It was just the Rangers. But it's going to happen. You're going to see these players start to get talked about in the media. And
We're going to relive the same
we're,
thing
we're,
over and
we're,
over.
we're going to relive it. And they've done this to themselves. So cannot wait to have to address that as we move along here. But I think that's enough for today.
It's
I think
more than enough.
I think
Yeah.
we covered all our bases. I said it after the. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think Colorado's a lower point for the season, or do you think today's a lower point?
I would say
I think
I called the Islanders a low point of the
I was
season.
going to say I was
Look
going to say
how well that
Colorado.
aged.
There's
I
hey,
think today.
if you have a shovel, there's always a way to go deeper. And Terry has given us the biggest shovel you can ever imagine.
Well, he wasn't he he drilled for oil, so he
Or
gave
yeah,
us a
an oil
drill.
drill. That's even better. That's an even better metaphor. We have the biggest oil drill in the league. We can go deep.
I think other than that, though, I think that's enough for today, and we'll try to get back into the normal swing of things on Sunday, and just try to get like these last what 2, 3, 4, 5 episodes have been like totally out of sync because it's like you can't freaking talk about this team in a normal light. You can't structure it in a normal light. It's just conversations like this where you're just inexplicably venting to a computer screen. But hopefully we can get back to normal and no, I hope we look like idiots. I hope we look like idiots. I hope they freaking turn it around. I hope that everybody turns it on a dime.
Yeah, I was thinking that the other day. Like, if the players and the organization just started to go, you know what, screw the fans. Like, we're gonna prove it to you guys, but if you guys aren't behind us, then screw you guys. Like, I would give them so much credit if they just started doing that, because I can't really blame them. Like we've said, all these players haven't been here the whole time, but they have all of the weight on their shoulders right now. So if they just said, screw you guys, like we're playing for ourselves now. We're not playing for you guys. Like I would give them so much credit.
Well, anybody that gets mad at like I can't believe people still to this day get mad about player quotes. Like what do you want them to say,
Well,
man?
exactly.
Nothing they will say will make you better.
No, what every single thing that they say is just PR. Like I don't know what you want them to say. Like even the only, you know what, the only thing that I like that I think actually Christian's the one who pointed it out. Cousins said it after the Avalanche game that this isn't a learning experience. Like we need to be better. Like this because they've all said, you know, we'll learn from this, we'll learn from this. They didn't say that. They know the time is now. They know there's no excuses. But at the same time, like the players, what can the players say? At the end of the day, they are trying their best, whether you believe that or not. It's not all on them. Yeah.
Don't
If you wanted to hear what
You
the
had me
players
f-
really had to say,
you had
man,
me for a second there.
we'd probably be
Look,
having a whole different conversation
they
here
might not
because
be good
there'd be
enough.
some real drama going on.
They might not be good enough, but you can't say that they're not trying.
Well,
It's
that's
their
true.
careers at the end of the day.
I've
That's
never
all I'm
really
saying.
never questioned their effort or anything.
That's even worse.
Okay, so that's gonna do it for this one. We'll probably talk to you guys Sunday. Talk about a lot that went on in the NHL today, but of course you had to talk about the team that had nothing go on for them, while at the same time a lot. So
As per usual.
if you want to follow us on Twitter, you can follow us at the Sabre Report, also on Instagram and TikTok at the Sabre Report, also on Blue Sky. And if you listen to this on YouTube, thank you very much for listening. You can like, share, and subscribe. If you want updates for the pod, you can follow us at Sabre Report Pod. Things might be pretty goddamn bleak here, but go give our friends over at the Buffalo Sports Talk podcast a listen. They're having a blast with their team.
This has to be the most starkly contrasted the teams have ever been, right?
So jealous,
Like it has
bro.
to be. Like
Yeah,
we're
but
talking, people are legit. serious about like the Bills, this might actually be their year. Whereas the Sabres, it's like sell everybody, sell the team. I don't care.
We had the same thing in 2020. It's probably about the same.
No, I think this is worse.
5 straight division titles for the Bills, and our friends over at the Buffalo Sports Talk podcast broke that down and more in their latest episode, so go give them a listen. Guys, next episode is episode 100 of this show.
We've made it. I don't know how.
Confetti. I can't do the confetti thing like, with my
Woohoo!
background. Yay.
Hooray! We
How
did
many
it.
playoff episodes have we done?
Hmm. Hmm. We should do something special. I don't know what, but
Yeah, there it is.
there it is. There's the confetti going across JP's screen. We'll have to do something. I don't know. Make it something 100 based. How about we tier every single episode we've ever done?
All right. You're gonna have to give me about 7 days to listen to everything, and I'll be back with you.
So that's gonna do it. We'll see you guys next time. Take care of yourselves. Don't call it quits just yet. But I understand if you're on the ledge.
Take that step back. Take the journey with us to the end of the season
Yeah.
because we're always gonna be here.
Last time I could probably ever say this to a mic because it seems like there's going to be a big decision in the MLB this weekend. Wants or the Red Sox?
I'm not even gonna respond to that. We'll see what happens.
We'll see you guys next time. Take care and go Sabres.
Go Sabres.
Go Sabres.